why are we here again? During the Cold War, we lived under the threat of nuclear annihilation. Um, and you would think with the end of the Cold War that we could become a little more peaceful and certainly worry a little bit less. So why are we doing this? Why are we poking the Russians again? Why are we pushing them into a World War III scenario again? Well, to me, you see the capitalists in America and Britain's just as complicit, really. Many people think more so, but that's another subject. Um, but they've got nothing to lose now. They did do 9/11, and they're so complicit and they're so corrupt. And this is all coming out now. It's beginning to come out very slowly now that we know about the paedophiles. They haven't got the leverage over people they used to have, and there's no way back for them. If the American people ever find out that they did 9/11 themselves, they're going to string them up from the lampposts. So they've got no way back. They've got nothing to lose. Nuclear war to them, the hell, they don't care. They're committed 100% to this, and America's now $18 trillion in debt. There's no way back from that. America hasn't really got any industry anymore. That's all been shipped abroad. The only industry it does have really is the arms industry. So there's another reason to keep the agenda going. So just in case 18 trillion, doesn't mean a lot, does it really? So let me put that into perspective for you. So they're 18 trillion in debt. Now, a million seconds. So if you were to count to a million, one a second, that would take you 12 days. Okay, a billion seconds, that would take you 32 years to count to a billion. Okay, at once a second. And a trillion seconds would take you 32,000 years. 32,000 years to count to a trillion. So the debt they have, there's no way back. And as I mentioned earlier, there's 66,000 bridges in America that are structurally unsound. They haven't got the money to do it. There's no way back. They've committed everything to this. They've committed all their treasure to these wars, to stealing the resources. That's the only way out. It's a big Ponzi scheme. It's a big Ponzi scheme. And as with any Ponzi scheme, you've got to keep the money flowing in to feed it through, As soon as that money stops coming in, as soon as they can't steal any more resources, then that Ponzi scheme's going to collapse. And there's a lot of people around the financial industry these days who are expecting a collapse that's going to make the last 2008 collapse look like a field day. And George W. Bush, he was famous for his line, they hate us for our freedoms. What freedoms are those? Are those the freedoms to go around knocking brown people down and stealing their resources? Is it the freedom to go around the world deposing our corrupt and rotten version of democracy on everybody, whether they want it or not, at the barrel of a gun? They don't hate us for our freedoms. They hate us because we're stealing their resources, we're killing their children, we're killing their wives, we're killing their fathers and their uncles. Murder. So, that's all pretty bad news, isn't it? So let's have a chat about the good news. So the world is kind of waking up, very much so, and the powers that be are very, very worried about it. Here's Hillary's thoughts.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war. I'll be very blunt in my assessment. Al Jazeera is winning. The Chinese have opened up a global English language and multi-language television network. The Russians have opened up an English language network. I've seen it in a few countries, and it's quite instructive.
But it goes deeper than that. I don't know. Something we're all very proud of, I think, in the peace movements is that in 2013 the British government voted no to go into war in Syria, and consequently the American Congress voted no as well. So that was delightful news. And that's the first time British Parliament have refused to go to war for couple of hundred years. Um, but let's break that down a little bit and see what was behind it, really. You know, uh, in some ways, in the peace movement, we all think that it was our protesting that did that, but what it really is, in my opinion, is do you remember this? This went viral for a little while. It didn't go viral for long. They shut it down very quickly. But this is basically American servicemen um, saying no, actually, saying no, we're not going to do this. They understand what's going on. The American military understand what a bunch of corrupt, murderous bastards these are. And not only this, but since the last term of Obama, there's been about 200 or 300 U.S. generals that have been quietly moved aside. Sometimes not quite so quietly, and there's always a good reason for it, of course. But a lot of them are on the nuclear missile command. And to me, what's happening here is that the American military is saying no to these people. Um, and that's a very, 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 very important development. There's a guy called Adam Kokesh who's part of the Truth Movement, and he was an American Marine. He served in Afghanistan and Iraq, and he said when I first joined, he said about 30% of the Marines knew what was going on. They knew that that America was the aggressor, and that actually they were just muscle men for the corporations. Who are mafia like. So basically they were just muscle men for the mafia. So he said when he first joined, 30% of the Marines knew what was going on. He said when I left, about 45% knew what was going on, and he left 6 or 7 years ago, and he reckons now through his contacts still in the military, he reckons about 65% know what's going on. So the American military know what's going on, and that's a very, very, very big bonus for us, and that's why we didn't go to war in Syria. I'm sure our protests did help as well, but I do believe it's down to the American military. Now, I came into this through the 9/11 Truth Movement. Somebody showed me a film, 9/11 Mysteries, actually, and as soon as I saw that, I knew really. I'd kind of known inside for a long time, but that actually put all the facts before me, and it really was a click with me, and I've been involved with it ever since. Now, so for about 6 years now, I've been campaigning mainly around 9/11, and we go to all the protests, and we have leaflets, and we have DVDs, and we're giving them out, just talking to people, trying to raise awareness. Now, in those 6 years, I've seen a very big shift in consciousness, really. Um, because I'm a little bit older than maybe some of the guys doing this thing, I always make sure that the police have got leaflets and the police have got DVDs, and I talk to the police, and I just try and get our case across, really. And for 4 of those 6 years, the police just looked at me, you know, okay, Sonny, go away now. Looked at me with contempt, really. But a funny little switch happened about 2 years ago, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, whereas you talk to the police now, and I'm not saying they believe that it was an inside job, but now they're now certainly open to that prospect. And they have looked at it. Quite a few of them have looked at it. Quite a few of them know a few of the details, and that's a very nice shift as well, really, because this revolution that we're going to have, and we do need a revolution, of course, will hopefully be bloodless. It's the only way we're going to win a revolution, because they got all the guns. So it's going to have to be a peaceful revolution. So that's very good news in lots of ways. And the other good news is that the alternative media is taking over from the mainstream media. People don't trust the mainstream media anymore. Hillary Clinton, as we've just seen, Russia Today has enormous influence on opinion in the Western world now, and so we'll see them shut that down very shortly. Of course, Press TV, Iran's news channel, was quite popular in Europe, but at a certain point that got banned from the airways. So where do we go from here? We are winning a little bit, as I said before. We're kind of winning the battle rather than the war. We might be defeating them on Plan A, but you can bet your ass they got Plan B, C, D, E as well. And some of those plans will involve guns, and some of those plans will involve maybe the Ebola virus or something like that. These are big boys that we're playing with here. These are the people that brought you slavery in the 19th century. These are the people that forced China to take all their opium, basically making drug addicts out of half the Chinese population. These are not nice people, and don't believe they're any nicer now than they were then. This is a fight we've got on our hands. And so, how do we up our game? Because they're going to be upping their game. They ain't going to take no for an answer. I've got a few suggestions here, and I think what we need really is we need commitment. Really, there's an army of what you know as conspiracy theorists out there, and none of us agree on what's real and what's not. And there's it's often referred to as a rabbit hole, and you do go down that rabbit hole, and you can get caught up in that rabbit hole. You can get dragged into the depths. Um, but first of all, what we need really is commitment, and commitment and courage and integrity. You see, this is what we got to have. We got to fight with weapons that they don't have, and what they don't have is courage and integrity. Really, they're all corrupt. They're, by very definition, are in it for themselves, um, and we need to have the courage and the integrity, and we need to be for humanity. Really, we need to not have that selfish self-interest. We need to have balls. That's what we need. That's what's going to bring us through this. Okay, but the commitment I would suggest involves maybe not having any kids. Not for now, anyway. Not for a decade or so until we sort this out. Don't buy a house. Don't worry about getting your foot on that property ladder. Once you're on that property ladder, once you're in the system, they've got you. They've got you. So just keep out of the system, really. If you've got very few material requirements, you can live very, very cheaply. I spend half my time working for profit and half my time doing this stuff. That's because I've got no interests and I'm a sad bastard. Uh, but by being a sad bastard, you can keep your overheads down and you can be committed. Retire early. If you know that this is a battle that needs fighting. Retire early, give it time. We need people to give time. That's what we need. And also, if you've got an inheritance coming, if mummy and daddy have got a bit of dosh, and you're going to get it, you might as well ask them for that now because you ain't going to get it. There ain't going to be pensions. They're coming. They're coming for it all. They will get it all. Your inheritance will be stolen off you. Your pension will be stolen off you. So you might as well do it now. You might as well take that money. You might as well, take that money, fund yourself, become a journalist, start protesting, just become involved. That's what we need. We need commitment. We need commitment on a much higher level than we've got now.